I got a long-winded woman, and she gonna talk to me. I got a long-winded woman, have a conversation with herself. She talked for 5 hours, it won't even pause, and now she got arthritis in the jaw. I got a long-winded woman, and she gonna talk to me to death. I got a long-winded woman, have a conversation with herself. She sounds just like a broke alternator, and she can make a killing as a telephone operator. I got a long-winded woman, and she gonna talk to me to death. I got a long-winded woman, and she gonna talk to me to death. I got a long-winded woman, have a conversation with herself. Put it now in my eulogy. The long-winded woman was the death to me. I got a long-winded woman, and she gonna talk me.
Later that day, Becki was on her way to collect gold dust for Mr. Conductor when she came across Mevy. "How's it going, Mevy?" Becki said. "My driver's stomach's upset," she said. "I'm collecting 8 wagons of water to make his stomach feel better," Becki said. "Thank you, Becki. That will make my driver feel much better," she said. Becki shunted the tank cars into place. Then the other tank car. Then there was trouble. The 8th car wasn't coupled up properly, and it rolled away toward the magic buffers. It rolled down the line, and it disappeared like magic. "That was unexpected," Becki said. "I didn't know train cars disappear like that." And she steamed off with her water to feed her driver so he could feel better. Later that day, Becki told Nilma all about the magic. "The tank car disappeared like magic," Becki said, "and it went right into the buffers." "I didn't know train cars disappear like that," said Nilma. "I could try that too sometime." And with that, Becki steamed out of the yard over the crossing. Later that day, Sasha was taking the express to Wanzengoff Union Station. It was a long train. Meanwhile, a CSX train was on its way to the capital, Cortinelmi, with all the passengers with all the freight on board, with the fuel tender between the engines. It was a long train. And the AC-44CW locomotives had a lot of horsepower. And they clattered along the line. They were full of miscellaneous while the engines were being really useful. The train was massive. Meanwhile, the unnamed woman locomotive had to stop at the signal. She had to let the big freight train go by. A few minutes later, the horn sounded and the freight train rolled by. "That is the biggest freight train I've ever seen," said the unnamed woman locomotive. "And I like to be useful more than it does." And it switched tracks on the way up to the mountains. Little did she know that Sasha was right behind her, and she was fast approaching. "There's a freight train in my path!" wailed Sasha. "I should hit the brakes!" Her driver slammed on the emergency brakes. But it was too late. Fire raged in the air and Sasha went right into a ditch. Then she caught fire. A few minutes later, the fire was out and steam hissed. The troublesome trucks laughed a lot. "Don't worry," said the unnamed engine. Just then, a substitute passenger train pulled up, and it pulled out of the way. And then the unnamed woman train began to pull Sasha back onto the rails. "Mind my boiler," Sasha said. And at last, Sasha was back on the rails. "Thank you, woman engine," puffed Sasha. "My name is Liliana," she said. Later that day, the Capital Limited number 29 was heading to Chicago, Illinois from Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. TT Kicker got too close to the tracks and the train came by close. "That was great of you," said Snurdly, and the train sped by the yard. "We heard about that a lot," said Deborah and Lenore. "The liquor store at the Capital Limited, you mean?" said Liliana. "Yes, of course," they said. Then a fire train came into view. There was an emergency. Diesel 10 crashed into the sheds and his fuel had ignited a fire. It was going really fast. Sirens were wailing and the train was rolling along. And it wailed past the yard and told everyone to get out of the way, just like on road or water.